Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Greetings to you. So in today's video, we're going to talk about human eye. Human eye is basically the most important topic of light, reflection and refraction of class 8 because human eye is the only part through which we can see our surrounding. Okay, so basically we need to understand the importance of eye in our life. So the first part that we have in our eye and the outermost part of our eye is basically the cornea. This layer on top of our eye is known as the cornea. Okay, it do not have any color, it's transparent and it protect our eye from the outer environment. Okay, so next part after our cornea we have the black part in our eye. This black part or this colored part consists of two parts. Okay, one which shows the color and inside it we have a black hole that is always black in all the eyes. Okay, so this part is colored and this part is black in color. So the colored part is known as the iris and the inside black part is known as the pupil. So iris basically, what iris do is basically control the size of the pupil. Pupil allow light to enter into our eyes. Pupil is the only part that allow light to enter into our eyes. Okay, so not the retina, not the cornea, not any other part. Through pupil only the light enters into our eyes. So what amount of light is going to enter into our eyes, that is controlled by iris. Whenever we go outside in the sun or in the area where there is lots of light, our iris shrinks the pupil so that less amount of light enter into our eyes and we can see properly. And the second time it happens when we go all of a sudden in a dark place and for the few seconds or for a minute we are not able to see properly, but after a minute we can see everything around us even in black. So why? Because what iris do, iris expand the size of the pupil so that lot of light enter into our eyes, and whatever light is there it will enter into our eyes and it form image of the surrounding that we are in. Okay, so that is the role of iris for the pupil. So these are the two part and this is the cornea. Three part we have discussed. Just after this is your iris, this is your iris part, and this in between this is your pupil part. Now when light enter through pupil, it will strikes on the lens. So this is your lens. And which type of lens do we have naturally in our eyes? All of us. That is the convex lens. Because we all know the feature of convex lens is converging lens. It going to converge the light whatever enter so that the image can be formed on the back of our eyes. That is our retina. So this is your retina part. Retina is basically a screen for your eyes. It forms image of all the object that we have seen in our surrounding. So which type of lens we have? Convex lens. Why? Because it converge light and so that we can form an image. Agar diverge ho jayegi, so they will not come together and form the image. So we need some lens that converge the light so that image can be formed on the retina, on the screen of our eyes. Okay. So lens is clear. I hope all of you. Cornea, iris, pupil, convex lens. These are the four part and we have covered. Now let's talk about retina. Retina is basically screen and it is the last part of our eye. And our eye is in the shape of sphere. Tabhi hum bolte hain eyeball because it is shape of a sphere. Okay, so that is the sphere you are looking at. Now retina is basically the screen. Retina consists of two types of cell, rod cells and cone cells. They are photoreceptor cells. Photoreceptors mean they are sensitive to light. Okay, so we call them photoreceptors. There are two types of cells, rod cells and cone cells. In rod cells are sensitive to bright light and cone cells are sensitive to rod cells are sensitive to dim light and cone cells are sensitive to bright light. And rod cells do not detect the colors and cone cells detect colors. Cone cells is for the colors and rod is for the light. Cone cells are of three types. Three types of cone cells we have in our eyes. In birds, they have 5 types. So they can see more colors than us. We can see the 7 colors of rainbow and we can make color out of those only. We can mix those color and form new colors. So basically those 7 color is visible to us. Except that we cannot see other colors that is there in our surrounding, but it is not, our eyes is not sensitive to them. So it is actually don't exist for us. But for birds can see other colors also. That is not, that we cannot respond upon. Okay, so that is all about retina. Now in retina there is one spot, okay, and we call it blind spot. Why we call it blind spot basically, beta? Because it do not have any rod cells or con cells in it. That's why we call it blind spot. And this spot is basically, it's a part of the retina only, but it do not have rods and con cells. Why? Because through here the optic nerve enter into the retina, so that optic nerve can sense the image whatever formed on the retina and then pass on that information to the brain in the form of electrical impulse. Our brain can only detect the signals in the form of electrical impulse, and that is done by the neurons. You all know about it. Okay, so this is the blind spot. This is your optic nerve through which we can analyze what we are seeing in our surrounding. This is your optic nerve. Okay, and this is your retina. I hope I have covered lots of part. Now the next part, beta, that I want to talk about is basically two types of liquids, two types of semi-solids we can say we have in our eyes. First one is properly liquid, and the inside part is semi-solid transparent, okay, that allow light to refract. Light जब enter होगी तो वहाँ पे liquid medium है, liquid क्या करेगा, उसको refract करेगा, so that it form a better image on the retina. So this liquid inside is known as vitreous humor. Okay, so the name of this liquid is vitreous humor. And the fluid that is on the cornea, on the outer part, that is your aqueous humor. So basically when you cry or when you become emotional or something, the water that come out is basically your aqueous humor. और जब आप blink नहीं करते हो, we say ना कि you have to blink your eyes continuously. Blinking actually produce aqueous solution. If you don't blink, you feel dry, you feel very itchy in your eyes. It's because of that. So aqueous humor is outside, okay, and it protect your cornea, right? And vitreous humor is between the lens and the retina. It's filled inside. So these are the part. Now there are three more part that I want to talk about. The white part. We all see the white part of our eyes except for the pupil and the iris part. That is your sclera. Sclera is basically the white part of your eyes. Okay. It protects your eye from the inner eye, from the outer environment. So that is the white part of your eye, and we call it sclera. Okay, now there are two types of other cells that they're there in the eyes. That is your fovea and macula. Name is fovea and macula. These cells are sensitive to the delicate work where we need more attention, more concentration. Suppose you're driving, you're reading, when you need more focus, at that time these cells activated. So आपने देखा होगा कुछ लोगों के जब focus बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. Why? Because these two cells are more active. Okay, so you can also activate these cells by doing that work continuously so that your focus will increase. So basically this is our fovea and macula that help us in reading, when we are driving, when we're doing some work that need our more focus and more attention. So I hope all the part is clear to everyone. Cornea, the outer part. Iris control the size of the pupil. It shrink and expand the pupil according to the intensity of the light. Pupil is the only part that allow light to pass through it. Sclera is the white part of the eye. Cornea is covered with a liquid, that is your aqueous humor. Now vitreous humor is basically the inside part that is filled between the lens and the retina. Optic nerve send message to the brain in the form of electrical impulse. Then we have blind spot on retina that do not have rod cells and con cells. Retina have two types of cell, rod cells and con cells. Rod cells are active to the light and con cells are active to the colors. And convex lens, we have convex lens because it converges the light so that the image is formed on the retina. So I hope all the part is clear to everyone. Now let's talk about beta. Okay, when we are seeing, everything, if I start to see from my left side to my right side, I can see everything clearly, right? I can see all the things in a continuous order, like a film is going on. Why it has happened? Because we have persistence of vision. The image that if I'm seeing this phone right now, so the image of the phone, and if I'll start to see the other object, but the image of the phone is still there on my retina by how much time? 1/16th of second. 1/16th of the second, I can the images persist on the retina. After that, it will, it will removed, and the other image will come. But if I'm going to see two objects continuously, so what will happen? क्या एक object की image shut down होगी, then I only able to see the other object? नहीं, ऐसा तो नहीं होता. Why? Because the images merge together. हमारी जो images हैं वो merge होती हैं all together and they form the whole scene in front of us. That is known as persistent of vision. ये आपने आजकल animation movies में, pictures में भी observe किया होगा that when we are seeing the movie, basically what is there आपने सुना होगा एक word FPS, frames per second. कितनी जल्दी frames, कितनी जल्दी images pass on हो रही हैं, that forms the image. 30 FPS, 60 FPS, ये सब FPS हैं जिसकी वजह से हम एक मूवी और एक गेम को और एक एनिमेटेड मूवी को बहुत स्मूथली देख पाते हैं. Why? Because we have persistent of vision. वो image continuously हमारी brain में form हो रही है, merge हो रही है, and the film is produced. So this is how camera and everything works together. Video is making on this phenomena only. जब आप वीडियो रिकॉर्ड करते हो, आपने देखा हम सेटिंग करते हैं 60 FPS की, 30 FPS की, तो इसी पे ही वो फॉर्म हो रही है ताकि वो अलग अलग इमेजेस क्लिक होकर साथ में मर्ज हो रही है एंड वो ऐसा लग रहा है कि एक फिल्म बन गई, कंटिन्यूएशन में सब कुछ चल रहा है. सो दिस इज द फिनोमिना. जैसे आपने देखा होगा, आप कोई पुरानी गेम खेलो, जैसे आपने RDR खेली होगी, रेड डेड रिडेम्पशन, तो वो 30 FPS में बनी है. बट अभी जैसे GTA 6 आ रही है, अभी ब्लैक मिथ वुकॉन्ग है, तो फैंटम रेड 0 है, देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ गेम कमिंग एंड जो ऑलरेडी आ चुकी है ब्लैक मिथ, वो 60 FPS में है. तो अगर आप उन दोनों गेम को ऑब्जर्व करोगे, आपको वो स्लो लगेगी. उस टाइम पे फास्ट लग रही थी क्योंकि उससे कोई बेटर गेम नहीं आई थी. बट अब आप दोनों को ऑब्जर्व करोगे, यू कैन सी द डिफरेंस. तो ये किस चीज़ का डिफरेंस है? फ्रेम पर सेकंड का. अब तो फोन्स भी आ गए हैं, फोन्स पे 60 FPS की रिकॉर्डिंग हो जाती है 4K में. ये सब क्या है? ये बेसिकली क्या है कि फ्रेम्स इतनी जल्दी जल्दी मूव कर रहे हैं, पर सेकंड 60 फ्रेम एक साथ जा रहे हैं, तो यू विल सी दैट होल वीडियो प्रॉपरली. अभी जो मेरी इमेज फॉर्म जो वीडियो बन रही है उसी पे ही बन रही है, 60 FPS पे ही बन रही है. वाई? 60 फ्रेम्स पर सेकंड पे पास ऑन हो रहे हैं एंड दे आर फॉर्मिंग अ होल वीडियो फॉर यू. दैट इज द परसिस्टेंट ऑफ विजन. वो हमारी आइज में इनबिल्ट है और वही फिनोमिना हमने लेके उससे हमने कैमराज और हमने मूवीज गेम्स हमने क्रिएट कर दिए. ओके, सो ये हमें गॉड गिफ्टेड है एंड उसी गिफ्ट को यूज करके हमने आर्टिफिशियल चीजें बना ली सो दैट वी कैन रिकॉर्ड आवरसेल्फ आल्सो व्हाइल डूइंग समथिंग. दैट इज द कैमरा एंड the other thing works upon videos, animation, films, movies and everything. So I hope this whole concept of human eye, persistent of vision, is clear to everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.